So I'm doing a 5K service on my 2024 CVO Road Glide ST. Back here with John Teradell once again. And we're gonna be dropping the fluids. I'm gonna be showing you guys exactly what kind of fluids I use, what our technicians recommend, what we recommend to our customers here. But we're gonna check the oil, just make sure everything looks good. I'm sure a lot of people are kind of curious about this 121 high output engine and you know what it does with oil and everything. So we're gonna check the fluid levels, we're gonna check the coloration. I am a little over 5,000 miles here. What am I at, John? Like 5,400, something like that? All right, so 5,439 is the mileage. So let's check it out and see what we got.
All right, so I preheated the oil. Matt rode in this morning anyway, so the motor was hot. So you always want to check the oil level when the motorcycle is at operating temperature.
That's good to know.
So right now I can already tell that the engine oil is low, just where it's at the dipstick, but you always want to wipe it off and then reinsert it and get the true reading. And yeah, it's very low. It's probably about 1.5 to 2 quarts low. Harley says it's okay to burn 1 quart per 1,000 miles.
I know a lot of people, they expect their vehicles not to burn anything, and I am a little bit over, but honestly I wasn't expecting to be 1.5 quarts. What is that, 1.5 quarts to 2 quarts low right now?
Yeah.
So this is why you got to check your oil, guys, because I'm a little over 5,000 miles, and like John said, I'm low on oil. So I'm glad I'm doing this today. That's just why it's important not to go over those 5,000 mile increments. And what do you recommend, John? Do you recommend people check in every 2,500 miles, or what's your recommendation?
I would recommend checking your oil level at least every 1,000 miles.
Oh, really? Every 1,000?
Yeah, because then, you know, Harley says it's okay to burn up to 1 quart. Yeah. So by that rule, at 1,000 miles, you might be low 1 quart of oil or more. You know, depending if it's more, then there's something going on, you know, a leak or internally burning more oil, something. So that's something always to keep an eye out on.
That's good to know. You did my 1K service, and we're running what, the Sin 3 was in here? Or?
Yeah, Sin 3.
And that's what we're putting in today?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you guys the exact oil we're putting in today, both for, so I'm doing a 3-hole change, engine, transmission, and primary fluid. I'll show you guys what I'm going to be using. What do we use? The Formula Plus, like the heavy duty?
We've been using the synthetic heavy gear oil. So we've been liking that.
For primary
and tranny.
Okay. So. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's drain the other ones. Do you think my primary and my transmission are going to be low too, or?
No, usually I don't see those low.
Okay.
So it's usually only the motor oil.
So you usually do see the oil, the motor oil
sometimes
low?
It's not every bike. Every once in a while it might be a little low. Yours is really low. Like I didn't expect it to be this low, honestly. So
what do you attribute that to, John? Like what, like a heat or riding hard, or what?
It could be the position of the ring. It could be a lot of different things, honestly.
Okay.
It could be a fluke this time, and you know, I recommend keep an eye on it and see how much oil is burning. But this also goes to show that you need to check your oil periodically.
So let me ask you this, John. So now that we know that my bike's an oil burner, do you think it's always going to burn oil, or do you think like this next service it could be fine based on riding conditions? Or do you think that, hey, you have a proven oil burner, you should always, that should be the expectation moving forward?
Like I said, it's hard to tell. You know, it's 5,000 miles, the motor's still fresh, you know, it's new.
Yeah.
So was there, you know, rings not seating properly and now they're finally getting broken in properly? Was it riding conditions? Was it temperature? What kind of rides were you on lately? So that's another thing to look at, and that's why just keep an eye on it, and then we'll go from there. And the next service we'll be able to tell.
Yeah.
And actually we should be able to tell when you check your oil and the 1,000 miles, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, so you don't think it has anything to do with like running these motors running at higher RPM? Because I definitely run this bike at a higher RPM than I run my street glide at. You know, I'm 4,000 RPM usually. I'm typically on the freeway, so I'm usually running it at a high RPM. Do you think that has anything to do with it, or there's other factors that?
In theory, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. We heard it from a 20-year vet tech back here. John's my guy, so he's pretty knowledgeable. How many oil changes have you done in your life, John? Thousands.
I lost count.
Yeah, I lost count. right, we're going to continue to go through this thing, and I'm going to let you guys know, unfiltered, exactly what my bike's looking like.
Primary fluid was at the correct level, transmission level was correct.
And you can tell that just by how much drains, or?
No, I looked at the inspection, like, so you could see with the oil level in here. I pulled the derby cover off before I pulled the drain plug, and then checked the transmission dipstick also.
All right, cool. So those levels are good.
Yeah.
All right. We got 2 out of 3, I guess, huh? We cleaning the air filter as well?
Took the air cleaner off and put in the ultrasonic parts washer and clean it and then dry it.
What else are we doing this service? So this is a 5K, so what are we doing?
All 3 fluids, clean the air filter, adjust the clutch, check all critical fasteners. So basically I put a wrench or a socket on every bolt and nut that I can, and then check the brake fluid for contamination, spec tires, brake pads, belt adjustment, kind of like everything gets touched and eyeballed to make sure everything's correct.
Sounds good. Now, John has had his hands on this before the last service at 1,000 miles. We did full suspension on this thing that I've been messing around with a little bit. And so I'm sure he probably looked at some of like the belt maybe. Yeah, he's gonna go through, check all the critical fasteners. Yeah, get me all ready to go. But yeah, so far this bike's been absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely loved it so far. John was just telling me on his personal street glide, the first time he serviced it, what was your interval? Like the first 2,500 miles, you noticed it was low? The first 5,000 miles, you noticed it was low, John?
Well, when I did the cam.
Oh, the motor rebuild.
The motor rebuild. I did a oil change at 500 miles, and then it's about 2,000, 2,500 miles after that, I checked my oil and I noticed I was about a quart low.
2,500 after the engine rebuild?
After the engine rebuild. And so I did, all 3-hole oil change on it and service. And then since then, I haven't been low. It's always been where it was. So it's probably still the rings needed still more time to fully seed.
So there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, well, maybe that's just my engine breaking in, and yeah, now that the rings have all seated in and everything, maybe I won't. But I'll keep you guys updated on this. I'm gonna do a 5K now, and then obviously we're gonna do a 10,000 mile service when the time comes. I'll let you guys know what it does. Okay, so these are the fluids that I'm putting in the bike. So this is the new Synth 3 that came out with just this year, right, John?
Yep.
Okay, so this is what we put in the main engine compartment here, and then this synthetic heavy gear oil we put in the primary and the transmission, right?
Correct.
How much of this stuff we put in? How much does the transmission take on this thing?
The transmission is 1 quart.
1 quart?
Yeah, and the primary is a little bit over 1 quart.
Okay.
And then the engine for your model, it takes about 4.5 quarts.
4.5 on this?
Yes.
Okay. Get a new filter on there as well, right?
Yes.
It's like we're just draining everything. Make sure you dispose of your fluid properly. This goes into this tank and then it gets picked up and disposed of. It's probably the biggest thing with doing your own services is disposing of the fluids properly. You can't just dump your oil into the gutter that goes into the ocean. In California, we frown on that, as I'm sure most states do. Usually you can dump your fluids at like a local like Jiffy Lube or whatever. That's probably the biggest hassle with changing your own fluids. That and just a mess.
I start with usually 4.5 on them, and then after my test ride, once it's hot, I recheck it and then top it off accordingly.
John's telling me that because I let my oil go too long and it got a little bit dark, that now moving forward my oil will always kind of be a little bit dark because you got some of that dark oil like kind of caked on in the engine. Is that the case?
Inside the cases of the wall and the oil pan, the oil that doesn't come out, because you can't get all the oil out when we drain it.
Yeah,
there's little crevices that get, you know, that oil stuck in there, and so the fresh oil is this light brown, you know, tan color, and
that looks really good on the dipstick. It looks really good
now, but after a couple engine cycles, that little oil that's still in the engine compartments and the oil pan will turn that new oil that kind of contaminated a little bit, where that color, it'll be a darker color. And so,
and not like I did any damage to the motor.
No, it's just that oil that got burnt. That's, you know, that's that dark color. It's still in there.
So what if I change my oil like every couple thousand miles? Like it'll
eventually get lighter. Okay. You know, so but that's like everyone asks me like, oh, does it hurt to change the oil, you know, before my recommended service interval? No, it doesn't. You can change your oil every 1,000 miles. It's just going to be a little expensive on your pocket. Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, my oil's gonna be a little bit darker now. I think I'm gonna see if I can get my oil light again. Just change it maybe every 2,000 or something. Not that it matters, but I like pulling my dipstick and seeing that light brown color. I don't like dark oil in my bike. I gotta become a reformed man, guys. I'm usually really good about my services. Been busy lately though. So I think this is a good reminder, even for myself, that you should check your oil once in a while. I haven't even pulled my dipstick. I've never pulled my dipstick on this bike, not once. And so it probably would have been smart of me after, you know, my 1,000 mile service sometime, maybe like 3,000 or 4,000 miles, to check it. And I could have topped off my oil a little bit. You know, I'm here at the dealership my whole life, and so it would have been easy for me to just top it off real quick with a little bit of oil. John, do you think it's bad to run it like a quart light? Like, do you think I could have done any damage running it that low, or it's not going to be a big? So you think
the oil was definitely burnt?
The oil was burnt. I overheated it a little bit.
Yeah, you can smell it, and then that's because it's low oil, so it doesn't have enough time to cool the oil, and that's the whole system is going through the oil cooler and then back in the oil tank, you know, so that it circulates the oil to have enough time for that hot oil to be cooled down. But now, since it's low on oil, it's always circulating.
It gets hotter.
It's just, it's getting hotter, and then the hot oil is going back into the motor at that hotter temperature, because
which probably perpetuates it burning quicker once it gets.
Most likely too. So
there you go, guys. I learned an important lesson. As long as I've been working here, check your oil. You know, if your fluid level gets low, it's gonna get hot, it's gonna get hotter, the engine's gonna run at a higher temperature, and you're gonna do, you know, damage to your engine. I think my engine's just fine because it hasn't been very long and I wasn't, you know, super low, but at the same time, I could have been more proactive about really maintaining my bike better and noticed it, especially since I'm over 5,000 miles right now. So yeah, just a friendly reminder to everybody, make sure you check your oil. Check it before, especially before a long ride. You wanna check it frequently. Filter going on. So John's telling me back in the Evo days, because he has been doing this that long, so back in the late 90s, the break-in period was 500 miles. The break-in period is still 500 miles for your engine, and what to do, like limit your RPM and fluctuate your RPM, not let it, you know, sit and idle for a long time, avoiding heat, stop and go traffic situations. That's still 500 miles, but your break-in service back in the Evo days, the manual called for 500 miles. Now the break-in service on any new Harley-Davidson is 1,000 miles. The service intervals used to be 2,500 miles. Is that right, John? 2,500 miles for our services on an Evo motor. So that was late 90s. They went to a twin cam in 1999. So now the service intervals, as the book calls for them, is every 5,000 miles, which is what I do, you know, pretty much by the book. But still, before that 5,000 mile increment, it's still best practice to check your oil and top off as needed. So just a clarification on that. All right, John doing the clutch adjustment on this. Now I've got that Mueller clutch on here. See this metal piece right here is part of that Mueller power clutch. Is this easier and better to adjust, John, this metal piece?
I feel it is easier to adjust than the spring with the clip that self-adjusts, because sometimes the spring doesn't push out far enough to my liking. And this with the threads, you could get that extra quarter turn to get the clutch, free play exactly where I like to set it. So
yeah,
for me, I like it.
So I'll give you guys an update as well. So some of you may have seen my Mueller power clutch video I did about a month ago, 2 months ago. I still like that clutch a lot. So we changed the ball and ramp inside the transmission, the side transmission cover there. And then you get that little piece as well, that little splicer connector piece that adjusts at the line. And I still really like the feel of the clutch a lot. I feel like the clutch effort has been reduced significantly, which I like, especially heavy traffic, pulling it in and everything. It's been really good. So I'm gonna leave it in. It's been really nice. Did we have one customer that took it out, John, because he felt like it was like burning its clutch plates or something?
Slipping.
Yeah, we had one customer that installed it, and he feels like it caused his clutch to slip. And I don't know if it's because of the Mueller clutch or not. He may have had a burnt clutch before he installed that. We don't really know. But the fact of the matter is that Mueller power clutch, it doesn't separate your plates as much. So there's a potential to heat up your clutch plates quicker, which therefore could have a higher likelihood of burning your clutch. I think if you are an experienced rider and you know how to take care of your clutch and you don't feather it a whole bunch, then it should be fine. But I think that is one thing that is kind of like their hack that allows them to achieve a lighter clutch pull effort, is the plates aren't separating as much. And so you're not having to mechanically, I guess, leverage as much with your clutch. But anyways, I'd still recommend it. If you're someone that wants or needs a lighter clutch pull, the Mueller power clutch, I'm still a big fan. I'm gonna keep it in my bike. I'm gonna continue to run it because my clutch has absolutely no slippage at all. So there you go, pretty happy with it so far. That's it. So good for another 5,000 miles. Probably check my oil sooner than that though this time. So far the bike's been great. The 121's giving me exactly what I was hoping for. A little bit higher revving engine, more power obviously is something I was looking for. Especially when I was switching between the Pan America and this. You get used to the power on the Pan America, and I felt like my 107 was just way underpowered. It wasn't, but it just felt like my 107 could be more powerful. So yeah, this 121 high output has been really cool. Great for the freeway, just really good roll-on power at speed. So been real happy about that. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on just my ownership experience with everything and all the mods I've done. But so far so good, I'm loving it.